Hey, okay, thank you all for attending. Today I'm going to talk, as usual, and give a little bit more information around the process of humanity attaining a soul. I know we assume everybody's got a soul. That would be just wonderful. And how is it could be born without a soul? That's kind of strange, Isn't it automatic? Yeah, and it's not. It's not automatic. Yeah, it does not mean because you incarnated, you literally have a soul. You have to transform the elements that's in your personality, and you mature as you grow up. And if you do this in any given life, and you really spend the time to develop empathy, compassion, service, selflessness, caring, sharing, charity, all these things, that really does take a virtue. It takes a lot of effort to go through those things because your mind and your friends all tell you, why do you give away money? You're always poor. You don't have enough to be doing that. And there's no implication of those things, other than the fact that you're actually being kept from your soul. Because every action that you take is something that helps to eradicate an inaction. And that inaction is a lack of empathy. It's a lack of compassion. It's a lack of caring. It's a lack of charity. It's a lack of all those things I just said. And so you may do those things for a month and think, wow, I gave, a year and a half ago, 10 years ago, but I gave. It doesn't work like that. It has to be your nature. It has to be what you do. So it's not a matter of giving money. It's not a matter of, giving your shirt off your back or this is frozen. There we go. I'm back. Kinda. Yeah. All right. So it's not a matter of those things because those things are based on your personality. That's, you're personally, oh, I gave you my shirt, then aren't you going to be a friend? Or all the things I've done for you, why do you behave like that? All those kind of words and thoughts and actions dissolve your goodness, dissolve all your actions of caring or sharing. You can just, it's empty, So there, you may read a lot of books saying that, you do good things, you get good merit, and you're going to get good karma and all those things. But it's involved in everything, mental, emotional, and physical. And when all three things are integrated, those mental, emotional, and physical areas, in other words, your mental body doesn't say guilt or things like, I shouldn't have done that. And what if I hadn't done that? Then I'd have that money and I'd be able to use it for this, or, what if? It's always the what if. And when those thoughts come in, that means that you have not a very mature emotional body, and it's affecting your mental body. And you're doing really well. You're trying, but it's only on a physical level. So you really can't receive the majority of soulfulness that trickles into the body that literally makes its way up into the emotional body and stabilizes the emotional body. And that only happens when you stop having these reconsiderations over your actions, and reconsidering other people's actions, and even though they were kind, even though they're trying, even though they're doing the best they can, you still may have more pressure to put on them. You still may have more suspicion, because you in some way believe that teaching the hard way, pushing a person is the way to get something done. It doesn't work that way. As you come through this thing and come out the other end and you have a soul, you'll learn that humanity and animals and plants and vegetables, everything works through empathy. and sympathy, but not primarily sympathy. It kind of starts off that way. Yeah, that's an emotional reaction to something. But you need to have an empathetic reaction to something, because that then goes into all the areas of life, everything. You know, how you see a black person, how you see a different kind of person who's, you know, drunk or illiterate or poor or very different and suffering. You know, how you see those things is just your soul, whether or not you're seeing it on a personality level. If you see it on a personality level, either you're going to block it out because you can do nothing about it, or you can just assume that the government or something, they got handouts, they got a place to sleep tonight, things are going to be okay. You know, all those kind of things you can do. But that just means that you do not have the empathy to look into it. Because empathy requires hardship, yeah, a problem solving situation, yeah, and where it becomes difficult, you know, to deal with it, yeah, difficult to be able to see it, difficult to be able to, you know, come up with the right response and the right action and the right thing to do, yeah, because it's not about fixing things, yeah, it's about empathy and compassion, yeah. So it's the difficulty is in the process of these vehicles having a different reaction, a different action, a different way of seeing life than you do as your soul. And it's your soul who's fighting to incarnate. Yeah? So forever, that little spark of light inside of you, which I call the soul, is trying to be born. And it may take hundreds and thousands of lives. And you think, I came through this, I'm born, I'm in a body, I have a soul. And it's not that way at all. And you're not taught all the right things. You're not taught the truth. You're not told any of this. Yeah, because if you're told this, yeah, and if you're told this by people who have a soul, yeah, then that soul radiates and triggers and activates what's known as bodhisattva, that little tiny light of soul inside of you. And you learn by the complementation of hierarchy, people who have attained soul, not by peers who want to go smoke a cigarette in the backyard, you know, not by your mother who's depressed and wants to blow her freaking brains out, you know, not by your dad who goes off to drink every night after he watches football or while watching football because he works so hard and there's no consideration for that hard work because he's a man. He's a slave. And he's never given consideration over the reality that the man is the slave. Look at the world. 95% of people enslaved are in a male body. Whether it be little boys, teenagers, they're the ones grabbing the mercury, they're the ones grabbing the gold, they're the ones inside the cave, they're the ones digging out the coal in Virginia. Yeah. No little girl was asked to go in that mine. No little girl. So what do they do in those countries? They don't like the little girls because they have no value. You can't enslave them. They have no value. Yeah. You know, that's sad. You know, but unless you see this, you have the empathy to see this, then you'd see men as the slaves of the world. And you could not listen to the bullshit of the Communist Party or the Feminist Party that you want to call it, you know, or any party that subjects people to the illusion that this isn't going on. Yeah? How many people are in prison and how many of those are men? Yeah? How many people are on death row and how many of those are men? It has nothing to do with your race. It has to do with whether or not you're male or female. Because you're a slave. And if you're not a worthy slave, then you have to be punished like a slave. Yeah? Because you have no conditions inside of you. Yeah? Because you're a male. You're preconditioned. Yeah? You're automatic. You know? And then you get this social system where the girls are, they're taking advantage of the fact that the men haven't got any time to go meditate, to go get a massage, to go to the beauty parlor, spend a lot of time getting their hair done. It's a quick buzz cut. 5-minute buzz cut. Because they're a slave. But there's no soul. Male or female, they both see it without a soul. And because of that, they have no idea that this is going. They look at the male and just see the suffering and the pain, and they die 12 to 18 years earlier than all women. Why? Because they're a slave. They live in more toxic situations. They work. All the buildings you see are built by men. All the roads you see are built by men. All the things you see are created mainly by men. That's slavery because they get no recognition for this work other than justified slavery. There's no compassion in that. None. You're in the wrong world. Yeah? You cannot gain any form of soul if both male and female cannot see the truth of who really is enslaved. If you can focus on the one who's really enslaved, you'll find out why that one's enslaved. Because they represent Jesus or Adam or Krishna or the Avatar. Why'd they kill all the boys during the time of Jesus and not girls? Why'd they do that? Yeah? Because they commonly do it. Yeah? If you're Hebrew, you kill the boy. Yeah? If you're in a process where you need to kill the avatar, coming avatar, whether it be Krishna, that's what happened to him. Yeah? That's what happened to Jesus. Yeah? Even Buddha was in the same tormented scenario. Yeah? He barely made it through it. But still he was put in prison and enslaved till he was 33 years old. Even though it seemingly he was a prince, he had all the money in the world, and he could do anything he want. But when you're enslaved, you have no idea that that's what's going on. Yeah, and he was completely unfree. Yeah, and then he had this awakening when he turned 30, and he's going, wow, wow, people are suffering so much. On every level, people are suffering, and not one person is doing anything about it. They're just burying people or burning people. And enslaving everybody else to poverty, richness, and middle class, and upper class. Just all terrible. No compassion, no empathy. It drove him crazy. He had to leave the very next day. It drove him nuts. Took his best friend, went off, became an ascetic. Couldn't think of anything else to do. Yeah. And many years after that, after meditating and staying away and doing all the things it took to get rid of as much attachment to things that caused him more suffering. Yeah. And once that was done, he became more awake. Yeah. And that awakeness is what gave him compassion. And his compassion, at the level of his compassion, first thing he said, we don't need death. Now that's soul. That's just soul. That's not even the monad. That's soul. So here comes Jesus. Yeah? And Jesus comes up to people and he saves them. He resurrects them. Yeah? And this is the same guy, just 500 years later. Yeah? After saying what he did, dying for what he did, coming back, doing all the things he's doing. Yeah? and manifest into an existing situation to where he resurrects someone. He's resurrected. Death does not exist. He proved it in this person called Lazarus. He proved it in a little boy. He proved it in a bird. Yeah, when he was only 8 years old, he had a bird, a dead bird in his hand. That was me. Yeah, I'm 8 years old. I got myself a dead bird. My friend hands it to me. You know, I pet it, and it shakes, and it comes back to life and flies away. This happened over and over and over. People would bring me dead things. That's how I got to the dead boy. That's how they asked me to go to Lazarus, because I was known for that. You know, I grew up in that area. People knew that I resurrected things. Death didn't exist, you know, even though it was right in front of them. Yeah. So that's a walking soul. That's a soul boy. Yeah. Yeah. And if he dies because he's reincarnating. He's got to come back and talk to another group of people who's better for the soul. Yeah. And all those people die and come back around, and they're better for the soul, better for teaching, better for recapitulation. Yeah. So that whole process went on with Jesus. Yeah. But the whole thing is the process of the fact that humanity, it's not like humanity is evil in any way, shape, or form. It's just the truth is that, you know, we have to evolve. We need to meditate. We need to develop the soul. We need to develop the soul, not assume we already have a soul. Yeah, because then we're going to think Trump has a soul. Yeah, we're going to think other people have souls. And how is it? Then we go, how does God let this happen? And it's not about God. It would be about God if he had a soul. You wouldn't elect him. Yeah? And he'd be more expressive in his demonic self. And because you're willing it. You're putting a light on it. If you put a light on it, you know, which all those people in the news media are trying to do, and people who are leaving his office are writing books hand over fist, they're trying to do. And if you don't understand that as an inkling of the soul manifested for you, because we're all the soul, you know, you need to listen to a collective embodiment of other people. And that's where the soul's at. It's not in you as an individual. It's in the collective body of humanity as a whole planet. Yeah. So we can't have bias against China. We can't have bias against Africa. We can't have bias against Mexico. We can't have bias against anything of a race, because it was created by God. Each race was created, not differently, but they were created by God. Yeah. Just like 7 rays are created. 7 races are created. 7 nations, yeah, are created. Yeah. Those are realities that are based on aspects and qualities, but not differences. Yeah. They're all coming out of the soul. If we're in the soul, then we have no problem with these things. Yeah. But if we're not in the soul, then we have problem with God's creation and God's diversity and God's way of expressing things as slightly different. Yeah. And we have no empathy or compassion to be able to break down our hard way of thinking, you know, that doesn't change, you know, once constantly see it, whatever way we're seeing it, not change, you know, because it's in the change that comes from the soul that literally allows you to change your emotional, constricted way of seeing something. Yeah, through hate or anger or need to, you know, have to be a certain way. Yeah. So all of it is based on the relationship of the integration of the soul. And we have 7 nations, you know, we have a whole world, and the soul is a collective body of planet Earth. Yeah. And it doesn't just come from the Earth. It comes from a solar system. Yeah. Solar system. Yeah. And our solar system has within it certain radiatory frequencies. Yeah, the sun has a radiatory frequency. Yeah, not just Mars, but things outside of our solar system that surround our solar system. Yeah, like constellations and things like that, that have patterns in relationship to our seasons. Yeah, and those things actually create spiritual doorways if we want to take advantage of it. Yeah, all we got to do is learn to become empathetic. Yeah. In other words, we have to learn to love male and female. Yeah. No weird shit going on between male and female. Yeah. No, oh, you're different than me. I'm a girl. I'm compassionate. I'm empathetic. I'm a mother. I can give birth. You never experienced such a thing. How can you know empathy? How can you, that all comes from your veil of not seeing this guy as a slave. And you're actually enslaving him into a stereotype that he gets from being a slave. Yeah, because slaves have no skills. Yeah, it doesn't matter how skilled the guy is, he cannot mow the lawn according to the commercials in America. Yeah, men cannot mow lawns, they cannot paint, they can't do anything in a commercial. It's a joke. And then the woman goes, oh, let me take care of that. And she just whips it out, fixes it, paints it, fixes the table, whatever it is in the commercial, to emphasize the reality of a bumbling male, an aggressive male who's thinking down here, down low, where a woman is always supposedly thinking high, wise, knowing. Yeah. And they're both wise, knowing people, both of them. Yeah. But because of the process, of a lack of compassion and empathy, we channel and we bring bias and prejudice between ourselves, males and females. And it starts right there between males and females, not any place else, but just males and females. So the most important thing is yourself. Not about your relationship to another person, because your soul and that other person's soul isn't integrated enough to carry out that kind of relationship. But yet your crazy self side will have an expectation that this is what's necessary. It's expected. But yet at the same time, the system says these are bumbling oofs that all they want to do is go to war. And you're a girl, and you don't want to go to war. And you're a nurturer, You're wise. You make the best decisions. You could read a map and receive directions. Men cannot. Men cannot receive directions. Men cannot read maps. Oh, that's a lie. It's all a lie. Who's a navigator in the world? Men. Who built navigation? Men. It's not that they're the ones. It's just that it's a lie. It's a complete deception. Yeah, and people fall into it because you don't know enough men to make that decision that this is what a man is in a stereotypical way of any kind. Men, all these male things, and the truth is men are, in general, men are the most minimalistic, wise people on the planet. Minimalistic, and you could prove it. All you got to do is look at the statistics of sales in malls. Who buys shit in the malls? Women. 85%, unless there's a technology. And if you go into the mall and you go into that big Sears store, and it's got 5 different levels to it, and there's only one level, and 1/4 of that level is men's shoes. That's it. No other kinds of shoes, just 2 or 3 different types of shoes. Maybe tennis shoes, work shoes, just plain shoes. And then you might find an area where it has shirts, but it's all together. Shoes, shirts, jackets, belts, everything, all one section. Little kids, big guys, teenagers, all one section. Look at the rest of the mall. There are 1,000 different pairs of shoes for women. And there are 100 different shoe stores. Yeah. And if it wasn't for sports, the guys would be like, what else do I wear? You know, I don't even play sports, but I'll buy the freaking sports shoes because I want a little something going on in my life. You know, I'd like a little color, you know, but they're not expected to. The women are in charge. They'll put you down. And every man deserves and desires to be loved. So they're listening intently. What do the women want me to wear? What makes me macho? Yeah, so now they got all these tattoos because they want to be more macho. They're trying to get a woman. You know, how do you get these women to like you? To be attracted to you? You know? Well, first they think they start off, they're 5 years old, and they start making little dolls with dresses. You know, they worked this thing out since they were little kids. But a little boy, you know, he hasn't got anything like that going on. He's got tinker toys. He's got, you know, like building blocks. He's got, you know, like art, you know. He's got, you know, creative engineering like things he could do, you know. He can work on a car, you know. But he's not a designer of clothes or a designer of a home. Oh, my husband's he's going to be something, you know. He's going to have big, broad shoulders, and he's going to be tall and dark, and he's going to be really handsome, and he's going to have a great job, you know, probably a doctor, you know, and he's going to all these different things, you know. And that's by the time you're 11 years old, you know. And by the time you get to 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, it can get pretty intense, because you have, you know, no interest as to whether or not you should even get married. Yeah, because you know, the world is not in that way. When you start talking to the guys, you know, they're not planning marriage. You know, they're not, you know, going, oh, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to get a job and I'm going to do this sort of thing. Their first thing is thinking, what I'm going to do to work, what I'm going to do, you know, what's going to be my job. You know, they're not thinking, you know, because you got to consider, you know, there's a lot to the economy of being in a relationship and moving in that. The reality kind of comes along, yeah. But this is all coming out of fantasy where there's no soul. It's a projected astral illusion, glamour. And it comes with malls, yeah. And that comes with big ticket houses, big ticket cars, big ticket jobs. And as a slave, you better fricking move in that direction or you're not going to get one of these ladies. Yeah? Because it's a modeled scenario. Yeah? And you could end up, as a lot of guys do, in and out of marriage. In and out. Because it's a fantasy more than it is a reality, and nobody's willing to stick to a hardcore scenario and break through the process of finding the right reality of how to live this life, you know, subtly, you know, not in fantasy, not overspending and overcharging with credit cards and all the things that comes with the world of fantasy, yeah. Because you're just going to head to the mall and you got no money and you're just going to get that credit card and it's going to come down on you. You're going to go to school thinking you're supposed to go to school and you're going to have $30,000 loan you got to pay. And you never get to pay it off because you never make enough money to pay it off. Yeah. Yeah. And it puts so much, bills put more pressure on people to keep their soul from manifesting than anything else. The stress of working for money. Working to pay off the past or pay off and hope for a better future and get a loan in order to get that future. Yeah. All that is soulless activity. Yeah. It's really hard to take into reality. Yeah. So in this situation, we have other things that cause stress. We have, right now, we have a president who is doing what he's doing. We have coronavirus, which is doing what it's doing. And we have people who we are witnessing the fact that a lack of soul will kill you massively, by the millions, by the millions. And this is going to have to be your witnessing. Yeah, it's going to have to be your experience. Because without a soul, you think in your mind with short-term thoughts and no memory whatsoever, just short-term thoughts. And these are all preconceived, assumed notions. Yeah. So here you are, you're in a virus. You have no memory of previous viruses. You know? Not like, oh, we've been through this before. Yeah. You have no memory of that because it really never took on this big, but it did. It did in China, it did in other countries, and it did in certain states in America, and then it was kind of slowed down. You know? So it didn't affect us in that way. But a virus like this, once it hits, you can count on enormous numbers of viruses after that. And if you study this, you'll find that this virus has been to us before. Yeah? The coronavirus is a SARS virus. Yeah? And we went through the SARS virus. And now we're in the coronavirus, which is just another name for the SARS virus. Yeah? That means it mutated. And it's mutating right now. Yeah? So there are people 6 months ago who had this virus and almost died from it. And we got presidents and doctors and other people, and they're all doctors, they're all unknowing people, yeah, and they're in the middle of a science to where they really don't know whether or not this could be cured, because it's a virus. And where does it come from? You can't stop it unless you can get to where it's coming from and then change those conditions. That's not really going to happen. Yeah? Because the same place it comes from, whether it be the SARS virus or this particular virus or others, they're all going to come from a breeding ground that comes from the animals or from people who have the virus, and it's incubating, and we just shoot it back out again in another increased process of that virus hitting us, just like the flu. And now, because we don't have a soul, we don't even know the flu does that. Yeah? We think it's like a cold. Oh, the flu. Well, it comes and goes. Most people don't get it. But you got to think about it. The flu is a virus, and why is it here? Kills people. Thousands and thousands of people. But when you're on a planet that's soulless, who cares if people die? Who cares? Yeah? Yeah? So now, it's going to reach millions. Because this is a learning process of the soul. And it's not like God's writing a book and going, well, time for everybody to learn. No. It's a process where everything that happens in life is a response. And if we don't come to grips with what's going on in response, if we don't wear our mask, if we don't help other people wear a mask, if we don't not go outside, we stay inside as long as we possibly can, stay away from all the things that you're supposed to do, and not complain about it, And at the same time, you'll witness people going batshit crazy, carrying guns and coming out and getting violent, because there is an even opposite to the soul. When you don't have a soul, there's a place where things get worse. And you can take refuge in darkness, which is based on hate. Now, from that point, it's not about trying to stop the cold or stop a virus. Those are elements of compassion and empathy. Because if there wasn't compassion and empathy, we'd just take a gun and shoot that person like you would a horse. There are people who will do that. Because this is a soulless place. Yeah. And those conditions happen. Yeah. And that's because we have the death penalty. That's because we hang people. All throughout this world, we hang people. We have firing squads. Yeah. Yeah. We shoot people. Yeah? We give people shots. We electrocute people. Yeah? Where in there is there compassion? I mean, that's the element of the soul. Yeah? Where is there any empathy? Yeah? Every time we put someone to death, this is all us, yeah, is a collective incarnated body of our choice to be killers. Even if we let someone else do the killing, we're killers. Yeah. Does that make sense? If you're in a town and somebody's going to be hung today, in the past, all of you would come out of your house for the fun of it. Stand in front of the gallows with children and wait and watch and get real crazy about it, almost like you're drunk. Because the evil of sacrificing a human being through the act of murder, no matter what reason you want to cause it, you know, oh, he did something wrong, he stole my horse. Let's hang that bastard. He shot a man. Let's hang that bastard. Yeah. He killed a little girl. Hang that bastard. Yeah. Yeah. He poisoned a dog. Hang that bastard. That's humanity. These are words people say and do, and there are laws to carry them out. What about those laws? Yeah? Yeah? Imagine, you got people going to prison, and somebody shoots someone. Well, if you're a poor black man, you shoot someone, you have a good chance you're going to go to the death penalty or life. Yeah? And once you get on that, you have no legal right for a lawyer. None. And it wouldn't matter anyway, you know, because you're poor. But they did that so that the state would not pay for your lawyer. Yeah. And yet, we have found, you know, in America, we've found that 1 out of 10, and if it's 1 out of 10, it's probably 1 out of 5, of every person put in the death penalty is innocent. They didn't do what it is they're in prison for, let alone have the death penalty. That is beyond imagination. Yeah. Imagine you have 50 people. Yeah. How many of those people are not guilty? You have 100 people, you know, not guilty. 1,000? That would be 100 not guilty. 100,000? Yeah. All not guilty. So many not guilty, it's ridiculous. Yeah, but that's really not the point. The point is we still have the death penalty. We still have this lack of soul, to the point to where we have to carry out murder. Injustice. Yeah. Yeah. And that then leads to our lack of ability as a collective body. Yeah. Because only as a collective body can we vote out the death penalty. Yeah. By law, you really haven't got a right to just walk up to somebody and shoot someone just because you think they did something. Yeah? You know, so there are laws that have to be moved in order to allow the death penalty to take place. It has to happen through the court system. Yeah? That's no different than someone pulling a gun, you know, and shooting someone. Yeah? It's just no different. Yeah? And it's really all about, you know, our process of how much lack of soul is going on and how dangerous is a lack of soul. Yeah. So we have, right now, we have child and slavery, sex trafficking. Yeah. And that's coming out. Yeah. And it's been going on for a long time, and our president is in the middle of it. And no one wants to talk about it. Yeah. There are little girls who look identical to his daughter, who at the age of 13 he had oral sex with and raped. And it's on video. And you're all going to get to see it if you want to. But I doubt if you do. Yeah, I doubt very much. Yeah, because it's all a part. When this soul is a process of democracy, things are voted by a collective body. And if in reality the soullessness outweighs what little soul there is, then we're never going to see anything about this guy. Yeah, because he's as evil can get. And for us to uncover his evil would have to uncover ours. Yeah? You'd have to see your father for who he really was. Yeah? You'd have to see your aunt for who she really was. People you don't want to see, and you know there's wrongness in there. And you know you're aware of it. Yeah? And you don't want to really think about it or anything. But if you could just see the truth, when circumstances come up, you have a tendency to purge out things that keep you from seeing. Yeah, it allows you to see more. Yeah, so it's really a very difficult scenario for humanity to be in this process with Trump, because Trump is the biggest murderer on earth. That's all he wants to do is kill. And he's known for it. Yeah. All he wants is the death penalty. That's his number one thing. He wants the right to kill as many people he feels he wants to kill. You do something wrong, he wants the right to kill you. Yeah? And then he'll figure out, at what level do you do something wrong? Can I carry out this judgment upon you? Yeah? Because truly, that's where this man's at. He is the evil devil of law and order, of hate. He is the god of hate. Yeah? He loves hate. And he wants you to hate. Yeah? He wants you to hate and hate and hate and hate. He started this when he was 30. He got really publicly known for hating 5 young black men who raped a white woman and left her beaten. Yeah. And he went with his prejudice scenario of, oh no, black men having sex with a white woman. Kill that. Kill them right now. You know, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. That's what he would say. He hated them so much, he put out a whole page ad saying, we need to put them in prison right now and kill them with the death penalty. Immediately, right away. He did that. Full page ad. Guess what? They never got a proper trial because of him. They were innocent. And because of him, they felt that they would never be allowed to be free again if they didn't confess to it. They believed, they were told by their lawyer, because of Trump, he has so many people against you. If you don't confess to that man, yeah, it's likely they will give you the death penalty. But if you confess, the judge will probably go a little lenient. And he won't follow the directions of Trump and give you the death penalty. And they really believed it. The lawyers believed it, that they were going to get the death penalty. Trump was going to force it upon them. And those 5 kids were all going to die. And they were innocent. And there wasn't anything you could say to Trump. He got on TV, a national TV. He begged people to hate these kids. Join him in hate. Join him in killing people. And then you made him president. He's doing the same thing. He's having rallies saying, we must kill people. Why, in the old days, if someone like that man right there was to say what he just said, I could pull out a gun and shoot him. In the old days. And then he'd pull out a rifle and he said, or I can shoot him. And you can't do a thing about it. He said, I can go into the center of New York City and shoot someone right now, today, and you can't do a thing about it. Because he's the guy who creates murder. And you can't judge the guy who creates murder. There's no place before or after. It's the origin. I know this sounds a little far-fetched, but you need soul. For you to get your soul, you have an opportunity to look at Jesus Christ in the face. And I could tell you today, Satan is incarnated, and I'd like you to look at him in the face and see this man. Check this out.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done. I am strongly in favor of the death penalty. I'm saying if they're found guilty, if the woman died, which she hopefully will not be dying, but if the woman died, I think they should be executed.
There you go. I'm back. So that is Trump. Yeah. As the guy. Yeah. And it's a serious scenario. Yeah. Because you need to react. Yeah. You need to meditate more. You need to watch out for any ill feelings about people, places, things, circumstances, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Because there's a collective body of the soul that's asking for attention, in the process of getting rid of this guy. And people move by a collective body. That's why voting works. That's why we can make movies that are enlightening, and we can take people into those movies and have them watch those movies and come out more enlightened. That's happened a few times. I've helped foster that scenario. But that's so rare. I mean, you can't say that's a happening scenario. But it's possible. It's possible to awaken the soul in people collectively if they're in one room and they all have the same experience. And that light starts to pour inside people and it starts radiating out. And we could do this through democracy. That's the purpose of democracy. The purpose is to know the evil in your neighborhood. Not to be judgmental or critical, but be empathetic and compassionate. And know the people who are suffering and help them before they become criminals. And if they become criminals, help them a lot more quickly. And if you put them in a prison, you put them into a reform prison. And if they're on drugs and on the street, you take them off the street and you put them into a reform community where there are no drugs and it is illegal to have drugs. And they have the right to be in a reform community, and if they break the law, they move on to the next community, which is more like a jail. But it still gives them therapy. It still gets them off drugs. It gets them training and education. It furthers their life out of a hole and into light. Yeah. We have to behave this way. We can only behave this way. We have to be helpers. Yeah. Not judgers. People who judge. That word's got to go away. It comes out of evil. Yeah. It's as though we have the right. Yeah. And we don't. We have no right whatsoever to do that. Yeah. We have to come to a point to where we could deal with the person or deal with the circumstance. Yeah. But if it adds up, and now we're in, imagine you go back a few hundred years, just here in America, this is lawless, So we had to take law in our own hands. Yeah. And we hung people for stealing our horses, or we shot people from cussing at us. Yeah. Or losing in a card game. Yeah. And everybody lived through that. There was no law. There was no states. There was no county. There was no sheriff. Yeah. Watch Deadwood. Yeah, it's a TV series. Check it out. It's more real than most things that we put on TV. But it'll show you the side of where you come from. That's the truth. Yeah. You don't come from here. You come from there. And there is the past. And the past is bigotry and enormous dirtiness and no hygiene. Oh, there goes my camera again. I'm back. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so all of that lawless reality is what we carry into us today when we come into our incarnation. And we think we're so deluded in a soulless state, and no one knows that we've reincarnated. So we can't look back at Wild Earp, and the days of Wild Earp, and all the people of Earp, and all the people of England, and wherever that is in the world 100 years ago. You can't really look back and go, that's where I just came from. But unless you do that, unless you could see that, then you won't have an understanding of why you're so prejudiced. Why you think you need to behave in the way you do. Yeah. Because if you were stuck in a terrible situation on a stagecoach, for a month, trying to get across the United States, and Indians gather you, and you go down bad, you come back in another incarnation and it ain't right. Your thoughts aren't right, your emotions aren't right, nothing is right. Yeah. And then you reincarnate and you have to live through a whole period of time to where now you want to abolish those Indians. All of them. And you have no ill feelings about it. Why? Because in your previous life, there was a war between the Indians and the white people on this land. Yeah. And the Indians did their best to keep those people from encroaching their land, taking their animals, stealing, all the things that did happen for that 100 or 200 years. Yeah. And then when those people reincarnate and we get back together again and they become soldiers in a civil war or whatever, and they're looking at Indians, they ain't looking at them very happily. They're very prejudiced. They're very biased. They think they're evil. Yeah. Because they have instincts from their past life that scare the shit out of them. Yeah. And they have no idea where it comes from. But if you've ever been skinned and tortured the way Indians did, it's the worst way to die. And many white people died that way. Many. And then you die and reincarnate. And then you find over the next 50 to 60 years, they gathered all the Indians and they tortured them to death, having them walk through long, long weeks and months in the snow, yeah, on the walk of death. And you think, wow, how can we do such a thing? It's recapitulation. Yeah? Yeah. And we're still doing it today. Yeah? Today we have little girls that are being trafficked. Yeah. Why? Because we have models. Trafficking comes from models. Yeah. Yeah. The process of manipulating and thinking that a little girl is a grown-up sex object, comes from the process of turning these females into sex objects. And that happens in modeling. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the female itself is a delusion of grandeur, pedophile focus. Yeah. And if you're gay, then you want to dress up as one of those models or one of those actresses and play this part. Yeah. Because it's just an aspect of what gets you moving. Why you'd want to become a cross-dresser. Yeah, because of the model thing, because of the process of delusions of grandeur to the point of selfishness. Yeah, self-centeredness. Yeah, and it's not a girl thing. Yeah, I mean, most models are put in that position by homosexual men. They train you how to walk. They put the shoes on, they walk, they make your clothes for you. They're all gay. None of them like you. Gay men do not like women because they're in competition with them. But they lie. They say, you don't have to worry about me. That's because they're not hot after the girl. They're hot after the girl's boyfriend. So the lie is you do need to worry about him. Yeah? Because your son's going to be raped by this guy. Yeah? And the gay guy or the pedophile doesn't really care whether or not you're male or female. They're just a pedophile. And that perversion goes deeper and deeper into that archetype process, the same reasoning behind modeling. Yeah, stereotyping. Imagine you can take the ugliest girl and turn her into the prettiest object just through the modeling process. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with reality. It takes us away from reality. Yeah. It burns up an enormous amount of what could be, fostered reality behind what is our gender truth. How balanced we are as just people. Yeah. So there's almost all of this is placed upon us in an astral illusion, under astral pressure. Yeah. So imagine that the influence of, we want to get rid of hate. Yeah. Hate is a process that creates the law that channeling works on. Yeah. And how to get rid of hate is almost impossible. Because then you got to think, well, I got to look at every part of my negativity and get rid of it, take it personal. As though you got to get rid of your hate, and that's not what it is. Yeah, there is a person who is the energy of hate. Yeah, it's not you. Yeah, and there is a person who is the energy of your soul, and that's not you. And these two people, Satan and Jesus, are at war. That's the reason why people need to become monks and nuns. Because your life is shit. Because you're in Satan's world. And he's going to use you in order to be voted or manifest these laws of death penalty or manifest more oil wells or manifest war or manifest communism or manifest whatever it is that Satan has manifested under the law of hate. And it's big. Most nations are ruled by this. Most states are ruled by this. In the whole of the United States, it's ruled by the law of hate. We're coming out of the law of hate. We were lawless. Yeah? Yeah, we broke everything. We broke all laws. Yeah, we had to break the laws of England in order to go to America. We fought a war with England in order to break that law. And it was an unjust law. Yeah, but that didn't mean that we were fully conditioned, soulful beings that could create a fully collected United States. So they wrote the Constitution and the preamble to make sure that we were governed by God, and that generation after generation we would slowly but surely make manifest these things into realities. Just like the Bill of Rights, you know. The Bill of Rights is an influence of rights. Yeah? What are our rights? And how do we think about what are our rights? The right to speech, yeah? The rights to gather, yeah? The rights to do different things, you know? What are our rights? Yeah? And all those rights have to do with things that we've come to understand are things that are inalienable rights of the soul. If we didn't kill anybody, these are the things we would want to do. If we left out murder, war, all those things that really we don't have a right to do, but they happen because of the law of hate. And governed in the United States, we set ourselves to receive God and move the United States into an awakening. Yeah? So we happen to be a place where Jesus Christ incarnated and Satan incarnated, and a whole bunch of other demons. Yeah? Hitler reincarnated, and you loved him. He was a pedophile. He's a wonderful guy, just great. Yeah? No telling who this other guy who's the pedophile who killed himself in prison was in his previous life. But I can tell you, he was evil, and he was powerful, and he was very well known. It wouldn't take me more than a couple days to figure out exactly who he was in his previous life. Yeah, but no one thinks in those terms. Like, it doesn't really matter. Those don't happen. But they do. Yeah. And that's the difference between Satan and Christ. Yeah. Christ holds the world time, the influence of time. Yeah. Time is an element. Yeah. Physics is just coming around to that. Coming around that there are many different elements to our reality. Yeah. And there's up, down, north, south, east, west, and time. Yeah. Kind of missed that one. Yeah. But that is the element that holds north, south, east, west, gravity, anti-gravity, all of it, and light. Yeah. Is time. But where does time come from? Time is something that is ceremonially organized, something that is in a state of perfect union, perfect balance, perfect harmony, perfect position with light. Yeah? So time and light are together. Yeah? And we don't know this. We don't know any of that. But out of the mind of God, the teachings of the soul and everything, all of that starts coming together. Yeah, where it is the time for light to begin to shine, to manifest into people. It's the time. Yeah, you can read about when is the coming of Christ. Yeah, and then you read further and it says, no one knows. No one will ever know when the exact time is that Christ will externalize and be recognized. Yeah, no one knows. Yeah. And that's a fact, because the Lord is in control of time. So the Lord can reincarnate over and over and over and over. And as I do, I keep coming back, you know, and I'm just holding the cycle of time. And everything is slowly but surely evolving a soul, and that's in my body. Yeah. So every incarnation I'm coming back, and I'm expressing this light into humanity. Yeah. And it's not coming, you know, from Elon Musk. It's not coming from Einstein. It's not coming from the Pope. It's not coming from the Dalai Lama. Yeah. It's coming from one singular entity that incarnates and reincarnates just like you do. Except the purpose of that entity is to hold the soul. to keep the soul intact. Yeah? And that means that there has to be communication amongst all the elements to keep time in right order so that we can come out of this. Yeah? Because if we're in the time of God, yeah, which means that elements are being moved that work with God. But if elements are moved to work with hate, more attracted to the alignment of hate, which are lower, vile, ugly elements, yeah, then those qualities keep pouring out. That's what holds everything down. So it's really in the Lord, the constant work of the Lord, that's turning the wheel of dharma that moves time. Yeah? So I can tell you that despite the devil being here, despite the fact that we're in the situation that we're in, despite all of these things, time is in God's hands. Yeah? And the influence of empathy is going to manifest like a earthquake, not like a slow meditation. Yeah? Not like, oh, I got to have death come before I wake up. Yeah? A very different thing. Right now, we're at the place where death is coming, and it's coming fast, and it's coming in large, major ways. Yeah? And it's because it's on that leap of people's past incarnations. You know, we have a person here. I mean, I told you who he is, you know, but you won't believe me. Yeah? You know, but we have this really evil guy again. Yeah? And he was crazy ass evil in his last life. And the way he died was horrendous. Nobody wants to die that way. Yeah? And he died that way. So that's what's inside this man right now. Donald Trump. Yeah? He has a recapitulation in his body and his mind of being beaten to death, hung upside down, and spit on in his last life. That was his glory. Yeah? And I could show you 100 lives where he died the same way. Yeah? So that's why he behaves the way he does. Yeah? He believes in hate because he receives hate. Yeah? He does not get judged for what he does because he's a liar. He's a ruler. He commands people to do wrong. Yeah? And people do it. And nations fall because of it. Now, that was just his last life. This one is big. Yeah? But that process is what draws people into a process of low vitality. Lowering vitality. And it's the soul that keeps the viruses away. Yeah? It's what keeps them away, completely away. And it also awakens us to new realms of advancements in science that allows us to conquer these viruses quickly, immediately. And we're ahead of them. Yeah, we're scientifically researching 24/7, knowing that they're coming. We're not surprised because we have a soul. Yeah? But we are surprised because we don't have a soul. Yeah? Fossey did this during the AIDS situation. All we had to do was isolate. That's what we asked. We asked all gay people to isolate themselves. All gay bars to close. All baths to close. That's what we did. We did that. We asked for it, but they didn't close. Yeah. Because the gay people were lawyers. Yeah. And Harry Milk. He killed millions of people. But yet he's thought to be a saint. And he was just another person in the process of making sure that, you know, just like we are now, we have people with guns saying, I'm not putting on a mask or anything like that. That's the same happened then. Gay people would say, I'm not going to not get sex. You know, it's not that. Everybody's getting it. It's not because of us. You know. Yeah. And it was. And now little kids get it. Yeah. Babies get it. Yeah. And AIDS is still one of the biggest things that people are trying to cure themselves of. How long has that been? And, you know? And now we even treat the guy who treated AIDS and helped us out of that, we treat him like shit right now as he's helping us out of another virus, just simply because Satan says he's stupid. Yeah, because Satan's more in charge today. He wasn't in charge as much 30 years ago when he wanted, you know, people to die, but he wasn't a politician. He could just be a rich person getting in the newspaper and getting on the news and helping little black kids be killed, you know, and make people more and more prejudiced and not rent to black people and not sell houses to black people and Mexicans and make sure that rich buildings get built and lesser, you know, low-income housing gets built. That is Mr. Trump and his father. They built casinos. They built Trump towers. They built rich mansions. They didn't do anything for humanity. Nothing. They created another society, a society of elite, a society of capitalists. Yeah. Yeah. And then they got young rap artists and others who went into demonic processes, you know, and came out a whole other generation that came from the generation of Trump. And those people that came out of that, they didn't have anything to do, and they were greedy and corrupt, and they were given ability to do rap. And they were given ability to do other things like demonic spellbinding music. Yeah, and make millions of dollars, you know. And now Trump goes to those same big gatherings, and he's so proud of himself that he can gather tens of thousands of people, just like he says, just like a rock star. I don't even have a guitar, but yet I gather that many people, because he's one of them. He's them. And now we have all these religious bullshitters that are taking gazillions of dollars out of your pockets and using all these great big football fields and, you know, auditoriums of hundreds of thousands of people are gathering, paying these people, all thinking that that's what Jesus wants them to do. Yeah, is be biased and think that they're saved because they're so prejudiced. Yeah. It's all, you know, just a process of building less and less soul. Yeah. Getting people to buy out, you know. And so, you know, you've seen the one where he did what he did with the 5 kids. That was really terrible. This is him today. This is our president today at gatherings. And this is what he talks about.
I've always supported the death penalty. I've always supported the death penalty. I don't even understand people that don't.
We have to bring back the death penalty. They have to pay the ultimate price.
Death penalty. Bring it forth.
Now they give the death penalty where they give a slight injection so that they don't have pain when the needle goes in to slowly put them to sleep. I mean, these people have to be treated very, very severely, and they're not treated severely.
Very much in favor of the death penalty, especially for terrorists and especially for people that, you know, killers that you see so many with the girls that are being killed and then they capture these guys. I am so for the death penalty.
We will believe the right punishment, and we all do, for cop killers is called the death penalty.
Remember the old days, a deserter, what happened? Bang.
He deserted. You know, in the old days when we were a strong country, it would be boom, gone.
You know, spies in the old days used to be executed.
Bing, and it goes quickly, right? It's called, you're dead. Treason. It's treason. You don't even hear that word. It's treason.
You know, in the old days, boom, firing squad. No, it's true. I love the Second Amendment. I love the Second Amendment.
Somebody said the other day, well, he had some psychological problems. Well, in the old days, bing, bong. When we were strong.
The drug dealers, the drug pushers they're really doing damage. They're really doing damage. Some countries have a very, very tough penalty, the ultimate penalty.
They don't have a big drug problem in China, but they have a thing called the death penalty. In China, if you're selling drugs, it's death. It's the death penalty.
I said, Mr. President, do you have a drug problem? No, we do not. I said, big country, 1.4 billion people, right? Not much of a drug problem. I said, what do you attribute that to? Well, the death penalty. So, death penalty. We give death penalty to people that sell drugs.
Death penalty. Quick trial.
Death penalty. That's it. Unless you have really, really powerful penalties led by the death penalty for the really bad pushers and abusers, we are going to get nowhere. I'm also directing the Department of Justice to propose legislation ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty, and that this capital punishment be delivered quickly, decisively, and without years of needless delay. Immediately, with trial, get the death penalty, but quickly. The trial should go fast.
Rapidly as possible, not 15 years later, 20 years later, get the death penalty.
They should get the death penalty, and they shouldn't have to wait years and years. Bring back the death penalty. They ought to give them a quick trial, and they ought to absolutely execute this maniac.
Again, the words death penalty, death penalty, death penalty, death penalty. From no penalty to death penalty.
The death penalty. The death penalty.
It's called the death penalty, okay?
Let's play with the death penalty. Let's see what happens.
Bring the death penalty into vogue. Bring the death penalty to Norway. Death penalty all the way. The ultimate penalty has to be the death penalty. Now, maybe our country's not ready for that. It's possible. It's possible that our country's not ready for that. And I can understand it, maybe. Although personally, I
So his thing is that he gives quotes from China, or other places. And in the world, we really don't have the death penalty growing. We have a process where in every country, the death penalty is going down, unless you happen to be in a communist state, like North Korea or China. And he uses a quote of China because they're open to it. We all know North Korea does it, but he can't really quote North Korea. That's like a dictator, really evil guy, he doesn't want to go that far. But he goes to China. And if you look at China, you'll find that, they do the same to children. They put them up against the wall and shoot their ass. If you go against the process of the nation, there is a prison for tens of thousands of people in a singular prison. And you go there to work for the rest of your life. And you're slaves. And if you go outside of that into a more process, then you're just killed because they don't want to waste any money on you. They're communist. If they can't make money off of you, they want you dead. They're not going to do anything for you. You have to be a productive citizen. You're a communist. That's how it works. Well, that's the way Trump sees it. Yeah. If you're a drug dealer or if a drug person, you're not a person who is doing good for society. You know. I mean, who knows? You might even be selling marijuana. Yeah. There's an enormous number of people who are on that because they've had joints and other things, and they're put in prison because of very high levels of degree of things that are illegal. Yeah, and those things that are illegal is because these people don't have options of making money or living life or living in society, and they get in the hands of the wrong people, and they teach them how to steal, how to be robbers, how to, join a gang, how to be. You get into prison, you learn more about being a gang member. You learn more about, how to deal drugs and where to get your drugs. And, you meet the people from the country of, Mexico or whatever that are the drug dealers who are sending it over the side, and now you've got a contact. So it's education for prison is a place for building up more and more in the process of a really bad system, and that's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's wrong for society for us to be so stupid, yeah. And it's so bad that we really can't do it in society. We have to literally hire it out to corporations that open up prisons and incorporate, and they're ran by people who want to make money. They get paid for every single person who comes to prison. They get a check. And it's far outweighs, the cost of building that building and feeding these people, because there is no hospitalization, there is no insurance program, there is nothing that really does cost a lot of money. But the price that they're asking for is extraordinary. And the little service that they're giving sucks. So it's about money. The government is thinking we're going to save money simply by letting the corporations do it. And that way we don't spend the money, it just comes off the state, or some other way, And Trump sees that as just really terrible. Let's just kill these people, And if you're going to have death penalty, what we need to do is take those people right out of the court, take them into another room and give them a shot and let them die. Not 15 months, not 15 days, not 15 hours. The decision's been made. Give the person a shot right now. That's where he's thinking. Yeah? He is cut and dry. He's evil to the core. You have empathy. You go, whoa, let's give him another year, maybe we'll come up with, better ways, because that's the reason why we give them 15 years. Because we do have a sense of empathy. We do have a sense of compassion. But it's this guy that has no empathy, no compassion. He's a murderer. But he loves killing people, not animals, not plants, not vegetables, just people. That's what a pedophile does. Yeah. A pedophile kills people. Yeah. Every single person who's a killer, major killer, is also a pervert. Has major psychological problems in the sexual realm and circumstances in that area. So it's not uncommon for people who kill, people who cannibalize people, people who, take the worst of position in life and go around killing 20, 30, 40, 50 people. Yeah. All of that is based on the same element of hate that's sitting in this man, Trump. He has the exact same energy profile. He is instinctually set to make sure it happens right now. Yeah, just like murderers. A first-degree murder is planned out action. You planned it out. Yeah, premeditated. Yeah, well, he is premeditated by spontaneous action. He's a murderer. If you take it to second degree, it was just a spontaneous action to reaction. I was trying to defend myself, you know, and somehow this guy died. You know, well, okay, we will, you know, you'll go to jail for, you know, unpremeditated murder. Yeah, you know, but it's still that process. It's still you have the ability to kill someone. You know, rather than stabbing him in the hand, you know, you stabbed him in the neck. Why'd you do that? You know, that's not right. Everybody's got a choice. Cops have a choice. You know, you don't, when you're trained as a cop, you aim at the heart. You're trained as a cop, you aim at the heart. I never believed in that. I believe in aiming at the shoulder, aiming at the hand, aiming at the knee, aiming at the foot. Train yourself to be good at a gun, or don't be a cop. It's like in the old days in the movies, you know, the real good guys always shot the gun out of the other guy's hand, and nobody died. Yeah, that was a good guy. Clint Walker, you know, you ever hear of him? That's what he did, yeah. Great guy, yeah. And we have heroes like that. It takes compassion and empathy to be under those conditions and using all the same tools, but yet you're still ruled by compassion and empathy. Yeah, you're not ruled by hate of any means. Once you begin talking to someone, you're a kind, gentle person, you know. But you're living in a world of hate and anger. People have guns, and you need to learn to defend yourself, but not to the point of killing someone. It's just not there. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Yeah. But in a soulless world, we don't know that. Yeah. So there is causal reality, and it comes from the embodiments of lunar lords or saints. And it's saints that make these decisions, yeah? And they walk amongst us. There are millions of them all over the world, yeah? And to me, that is what I believe in. That's what I trust, you know, is that slowly but surely, the more I talk, the more I live, the more I exist, you know, the more others wake up, yeah? And every day is a day of time. It's an element of time. You've been with me, yeah? Whether you're watching me or you know of me or you got an etheric weaver, you're listening to my music, all those things probably not even in your life, but I'm affecting you, yeah? Everyone, every single person, because I'm the soul. I am the soul. This is not an individual soul thing. There is no such thing as an individual soul. The soul is the expression of the monad. My Father is the monad, yeah? And I am the expression of the monad. And when the soul expresses, it makes you into a saint. It embodies you, yeah? It integrates, you know, what would be a personality into a saint, a sentient being, yeah, who has soul. And that soul has symptoms. And those symptoms go to war, yeah, with evil. It's not an aggressive act. It's a counteracting relationship of love versus hate. And you're going to be tested every day for all of existence, yeah? Because the only thing that balances this thing out are the saints that go up against the evil in themselves. And every day that they turn that around and don't react in that way and don't have that suspicion and all these kind of weird shit that's go on, every day that changes, it radiates out as a collective body into humanity, and it changes the time. Yeah? If we have one day go by as I'm continuing this process, that day is more enlightened than the day before. Yeah? I bring that kind of situation. Yeah? So slowly but surely, we are coming out of the era of Trump. Yeah? I don't know whether or not you're going to vote him out. Yeah, that's not my decision. It's everybody else's decision. Yeah, yeah, it's not mine. Yeah, it's the process of humanity. And you know, if it is in your scenario to allow him to be president again for another 4 years, you know, you have not experienced anything when it comes down to the suffering that comes with this kind of stuff. Yeah, when you're in league with the devil, your vitality goes down dramatically. And you cannot make decisions on a soulful level, on a physical, emotional, or soulful level. Yeah, so it's just confusing. Yeah, and he takes command by whittling away what would be good things inside of nations, and makes those nations antagonize toward each nation, until he creates wars between Korea and China, yeah, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Palestine, Pakistan, yeah, even India. Yeah. He's really pushing every single one of them, including Germany, yeah, to go into an enormous level of stress between each nation. You know, where before we had a focus of thinking we were going to be healers in the nations. We were going to move forward in order to take strides, you know, to create a greener world and less nuclear bombs, less war, less aggression, better economy, sharing of wealth through trade, trust, you know, through trade, through commerce, you know, because people are worthy of this trust that, you know, maybe it's not that good today, but if we believe and we try and we push, then those technologies that are not here today, but as we further those technologies toward compassion and empathy and right nations, then all of a sudden, all the people that would be going a left-hand path are now having the opportunity to work in high technological advanced areas that they never would have had that opportunity to do. That's time. Yeah? That's the element of time. Yeah? And it all is controlled by either the light or the dark. And if it's in the dark, we go back to old time. We go back to the old time. Yeah? We don't go further. You know, we have more conflicts. We go, oh, we can't build that. Oh, we're not getting funding. Oh, it's not working. Oh, I'm not sure if we want to do solar anymore. You know, oh, I don't know if this is worth it. You know, but all real reality shows that there's not a better economy in the world due to the reality of the fact that we're saving money by not using oil. And we're saving money by getting out of coal. And we're saving money by not building dams. Yeah, which is what China's doing. And they're having an enormous flood problem. People are dying all over the place because they built these dams. Yeah, so we have to move in a totally different direction in order to save lives. Or we'll continue this other path, and it's all led by the law of hate. And it gives us these soulless qualities in our governing body that makes decisions of corruption behind us, that makes us distrust, yeah? Distrust ourselves, distrust what we are choosing, you know, all of that goes down the tubes if we have people like Trump. Trump is just one guy, but imagine how much he's affected all the countries of the world in just the 3.5 years that he's been president. He's ruined Germany. He's ruining Canada. He's ruining China. He ruined Korea, North Korea. That could have been done a lot better. Yeah. Every single thing he's put his hands into, he's put people into debt. Just like a really bad financier walking in and saying, you know, I'm going to audit your books and everything, and now you owe me $1 gazillion. I'm going to stop all your trade. I'm going to make you suffer. Yeah? I'm going to make you suffer. Not you, but billions of people. You have 1.5 billion people in your country. Every single one of them is going to suffer. That was Trump. And right after he did that, they got a virus that killed more people that's ever been killed here, but it's just not reported because we know that kind of thing is what goes on there. And that's not because it's evil. It's just because they have a lot of propaganda, and by nature, they just simply do not tell the truth. They're scared. They're very afraid that they're making all the wrong decisions and everybody's going to come to find out, and they're never going to have a future. No trade, no trust, no nothing. Yeah. And they're right. all of a sudden, countries want to sue them for the virus because they don't lack trust. They lack trust. They don't have an element that, they're going to change. Yeah. So you want to sue them in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Not just to get money from them, but to force them to cooperate in a situation like this. Yeah. Yeah. That's our situation. And it's all done by the law of hate. Yeah. So it's important that we get out of the law of hate. And this is one of the reasons why.
I don't think the question of capital punishment in this country can be answered by asking, do people deserve to die for the crimes they've committed? I think the threshold question is, do we deserve to kill? For every 10 people we've executed in this country, we've now identified an innocent person who's been released. It's a shocking rate of error. We would not accept that kind of error in many areas of life. If for every 10 apples, one would cause you to die if you bit into it, if that were the case, we'd stop eating apples. We would not allow supermarkets and grocers to sell things that were this lethal, and yet our justice system continues to tolerate these horrific error rates. I represented a man named Anthony Ray Hinton who spent nearly 30 years on death row for a crime he did not commit. He was wrongly accused, unfairly accused, taken to trial, and because he was poor and couldn't get the expert assistance he needed to prove his innocence, he was convicted and sentenced to death. We don't provide lawyers to people on death row in many states. There is no right to counsel for death row prisoners. So we have hundreds of people unable to get the legal assistance they need. And so Mr. Hinton spent 15 years languishing on death row without the help he needed. We got involved in his case in 1999, and we were able to show very quickly that he was innocent.
So you got to reconsider, what is death row? Death row is where you go into a little tiny cage and there's nobody else in that room. And you're on a hall where everybody else is on death row. And you do not have the right to be talking to each other, hanging out with each other. You get about an hour a day to go out, walk around, and then go back in. But you're in complete solitude all your life, your entire life. Yeah, it's not just death row. Yeah, it's death of so many things. Yeah, and it's mainly just to cut down our cost. Yeah, we have to talk to them less. We have to service them less. We have to give them no opportunity for education or anything else. They do not have a legal right for a lawyer, so lawyers aren't going to come and visit them, none of those things. Cuts costs down dramatically, and you actually don't have to think about them. Months and years can pass before they're brought up again, because they're really never given an opportunity for, get free, where many of the prisoners, they have their cycle of time where parole officers come in and they talk to you and they see whether or not it's your time to get out, and is it right for you to be getting out? Maybe you should get out early. Maybe this is the time for that. Those things come, and all those people get to walk around and they get to do things. But death penalty is a totally different other thing. And 1 out of 10 is innocent, not guilty. The 5 guys who Trump got put in prison just recently were released. A movie, Netflix, was made on it. And they asked Trump, are you sorry for what you did? Sending these innocent men to prison, suffering the way they did? He said, no. I really don't believe in the evidence. I think there's a lot of people, he always says that, I think that there's a lot of people who think that it was the wrong decision. So he's heartless. This is Satan, people. This is not a person. This is not a person. He has hoofs. He has horns. He has no heart. I'm sorry if you have to look at him as a human being And you somehow have to come to grips with it. But look at me. I'm a human being. And I'm the Son of God. And I'm only one. There's only one of me. And there's only one of him. You know? And we're as rare can get. And he's going to ruin your world. He's been doing it for ages. Since the beginning of time. Yeah, and it's got to end. It's not necessary. Yeah, there's all the witches out there say it is absolutely necessary to have darkness, or we wouldn't have any light. We have to have that darkness in order to maintain the light. It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. You know, Satan would stop being Satan. Yeah, if you could change. The only reason Satan stays the way he is because he's got that many followers. People take his elements and live in his elements, and now we have pedophiles and rapists, and he's created such a terrible world. Now he wants to just stick them up against the wall and enjoy his time of shooting them and killing them. The very people he created. Here he's saying pedophiles. He's a pedophile. Is he going to go to the death penalty? I don't think he's thinking that. You know, but by all rights, he should be going there. Yeah? But he's rich. He will not. He's rich. He's rich. You know, he could buy your soul. Yeah, just like Jesus was sold. It could be bought. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really important. You know, that we experience him not get elected. If we experience him not get elected, we will enter and usher in a whole other world. And we will eliminate the virus, and we will work ahead of the virus with science, technologies, and advancements that will focus only on viruses in humanity, not just Bill Gates, but us, the United States. And we're going to foster that in every country, that we develop sciences and people to go to school, pay for them to go to school, and don't give them loans. If they're going to go off and be in service to be a teacher, and they say they're going to be a teacher, don't make them pay it back. That's a service to humanity. They're going to be a doctor. Don't make them pay it back. Good grief. You know? College should be free. Special types of technologies and advancements, because you go from one, you go your AA, then you go your BA, then you go on to your specialty. Yeah? Whether it be engineering or economics or science or, you know, whatever. Yeah? But you still got to pass through these different levels. We need to foster that. Yeah, and that's going to be fostered if this man is not elected. It'll be a natural growth cycle in the process of our government, is to foster the awakening and the enlightening of men and women to enter higher levels of education at a very early age and be given enormous amount of benefits, the right schools, clean schools, better schools, and then furthering them right after they're educated so that they're not stuck in, what do I do now? I'm educated, but there are no jobs. But now we're fostering jobs for geniuses, for engineers, for doctors. Yeah? We're working a new government, so we need a lot of lawyers. Yeah? We need everybody educated. We need everybody actively ready to go, because this government is going to foster welfare and development of sciences and technologies that will go on for the next 8 years. 8 years is a long time. Yeah? 8 years in the hand of Jesus Christ. Yeah? That process will change so many things, you know, over the next year. And I am 100% on the side of he's not going to be elected, and I have a whole bunch of things I've got planned. But if he is elected, you know, those plans will be slowed down dramatically. Yeah? Because the virus won't go away. It'll come back 3 times. 3 times. Yeah, 3 cycles, yeah. And all cycles would be the same. An average of 2,000 people die a week. Yeah. We're going to get to 200,000 people by the end of September. Yeah. By the end of November, we'll be at 300,000 people. Yeah. By the time we get to January, February, you know, we'll keep going. By the time we get to March and April, we could be somewhere near 500,000 people. Yeah. Because we got people out there wanting to party. They want to go to bars. They want to do the thing. And they want to think, well, you know, we've all had it and now we're never going to get it because some stupid idiot said that, you know, we get immune to it and children don't get it. So we sent them to school. We sent the other kids off to school, and now they're back from school with the parents, and parents are getting sick again. Bad, bad, real bad. It's going to have terrible outcome. And I'm talking death. Death. This is the number one thing that Jesus Christ is totally here to help you with, is death. It's not necessary. That's one thing. But when you usher it in, that's when my process becomes a little harder. Yeah? Because then we have viruses and we have nuclear war and we have all kinds of earthquakes and problems with the weather because we're not doing anything to prevent that. Yeah? And there's not a lot I can do about that other than stay peaceful myself and be a point of light for the world and usher us through as our civilization dwindles to less than 200 million. 200 million people on an entire planet, people. We have 350 million people in the United States. But as this keeps moving under Trump and then under the next process of a Republican, yeah, and if that keeps going like that, we will have so many devastating scenarios, so much going on, and a constant barrage. Yeah. By the time we get to the year 2050, we'll be down to the millions on a whole human race. Yeah. Not just the old people dying, but the young people dying. Yeah. And they can't really reincarnate because the viruses are coming so fast and they're mutating. They're getting the children now. They're starting to get in the youth. Yeah. Because we're not taking responsibility. We have people out there like Trump saying that it's a hoax and it's a conspiracy and it's all about, you know, vampires and shit. Rather than dealing with the scenario. Yeah. Yeah. So this is 2 realms of reality. Yeah. 2 cycles of reality. Yeah. And we only got a few months to go and we'll find out where we're going to go with that. And trust me, if we have Trump, then you must cope with it. Yeah. You've really got to cope with it. You got to deal the best you possibly can because the civil war is coming. And violence amongst all the United States is going to happen. And he's going to throw oil wells and he's going to destroy the Indians. And he's going to put in coal mines back. And he's going to build up nuclear reactors. Yeah. And he's going to do everything, pass every law for fracking you can ever imagine, ruining the nation for thousands of years. Yeah. And he'll slow down the industrial process of technology that goes towards solar or windmills or anything in the United States. He'll slow it down. Yeah. Because he won't allow, he'll increase the product relationship between the countries that have to provide the products to create these new industries. Yeah. Which is what we need today. Yeah. But he'll create so much that it'll create an inertia. And we won't get to move forward the way we should. And we'll do wrong things, creating more wrong oil processes, more things, and more viruses of different kinds. Like they said, oh, that'd be terrible if we had the flu and the coronavirus at the same time. What if we had 3 viruses right now? 3 different viruses. What, is there a rule against that? Not in the law of science. It does really make sense that there could be more than one virus floating around at any given time. We're really blessed, very lucky to hold them at bay, keeping it down to just one. Yeah. But we're in a terrible scenario. These things are cropping up and they're the same one and they're mutating and we're not dealing with it correctly. Yeah. So as long as we keep getting this thing growing and we keep having to go to the hospital and die in mass numbers, then we are incubating that virus at a very high rate in America. And it's not happening in other countries. They're doing their best to cut it down and stop the incubation. But it's in the incubation because it can stay in the body for a very long time. And you never know how it's going to respread. Yeah, so we have to bring it all the way down to nothing, down to just 3 to 5 people dying in a month, and down to just 30 or 40 cases that need hospitalization in a month. And when we get to that and hold that for 5 or 6 months and it goes down to where there's not one person that's got it, we've actually done it. Yeah? Well, what's the chance of getting that done with Trump? What's the chance? He's going to lie to you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to, hey, slow down the testing. You know? And he's got his little friend over here, you know, slowing down the testing. Mr. Krishna or whatever his name is. Yeah, the son-in-law. Yeah, he's a real great guy. You know, he owns the building 666 in New York. It's quite a very interesting scenario, this guy. He paid more money than anybody alive would ever pay for that building. He did it because it's Satan's house. There's no other house that's 666. No place puts 666 on their address. No place. There's no 13th floor in hotels. There's no 666 address. Nowhere. Except there. And that is a phenomenon, people. That means Satan's involved in this. And that only one place could be collected to be put that way. And guess who had to buy it? He had to buy it. He used almost all of his money to buy it. You know? Now, I don't know if he sold it yet, but he owned it. He was the owner of 666 Park Place. Yeah. What a divine design. Imagine when you're Satanist and you conquer through money and sex magic and you have pedophilia ruling the world and the head of them is a pedophile, you know, and thinks he's the richest man on the planet, you know, and you and all the rest of your little cronies have the ability to buy 666, you're winners. Yeah. According to him, he's winners. You know, he's president of the United States, he's a winner. You know, he's got 666, he's a winner. Yeah. But in reality, he did it through corruption. He did it through lies, you know. You know, he's not the president of the United States. Not really. You know, he should have never been elected. It was formulated. You know, and that's not a conspiracy. If we had the time and energy and availability, but we have not prepared for this level of corruption on any level. You know, so we are not in a position to prove that this level of corruption that can actually corrupt a way to put a person in the office of the presidency through corruption, yeah, and pull it off, and do corrupt things while you're in the office, and still pull that off, and say things about being able to do such things and never be able to be busted for it, and pull that off, you know, and have books and films and everything being made about the guy, and pull that off. Have little kids come to the court and say, he raped me. Not even go to court for it. And pull that off. Yeah? And this is where we're at. And you made him president. Yeah? So that puts him in what would be your soul. The person who plays this role plays the person of the representative of the soul of the nation. It's the President of the United States. Commander-in-Chief. He's the channel for God. He's supposed to be. Yeah? But that would be compassion and empathy. He would stand against all war And he'd be the middle ground player of all the nations, holding peace, keeping everything at bay. Yeah, that's the United States. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. But this man is an antagonist against every nation. Yeah. And he's going to bring this out to a point, you know. So his outcome is hate. The process of us evolving and getting rid of the death penalty, which is where we're at. In the last 3 years, there have been books that have been written about the better angel. Yeah, even Barack Obama's wife talked about the better angel. She comments on that because of this book. And it's a guy from, I think, Harvard or something, a psychologist, and he wrote this book about how people showing in the death penalty and killing of people and the anger and the behavior behind people, that it's lessening. That we do not go to war as much as we used to. That actually we're down to a very minor amount of war in the world. You know, there's this and that, but nothing compared to what has gone on up to this day. And it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So there's an aspect of the good angel in people that is beginning to express, and the bad angel is beginning to go away. Yeah. So that awakening is what this is about. This is the bad angel. Yeah. And this is a quality inside of ourselves, the fact that we are either the bad angel or the good angel, and we are not somewhere in between. Yeah. We're not nonchalant. We're not, it doesn't matter, I'm nobody. Yeah. Because we're all influenced by this being an angel. And the biggest discussion of illusion is the fact that we're not angels. That angels are somewhere up there in heaven, and that Jesus is also somewhere up there in heaven, and God is way up there in heaven. You know, it's so distant from us all. And the angels are etheric, and they don't have any existence, and sometimes they may not even come here because, you know, this is too harsh of an environment. Yeah, but that's the biggest lie in the world. We're all angels. Yeah, all we have to do is incarnate our soul so we can bring that angelic presence here. Yeah. But if we're moved by this, then we're going to have leagues of angels that are fallen angels, that are lunar lords, that are presidents and kings and queens, that will rule over you as lesser angels. Yeah. You just see this as human beings. You don't see it right. You know. You're immortal angels. You know. You don't die, you reincarnate. Yeah. You're immortal. Yeah, you have an immortal soul. That's why you say you have an immortal soul. Yeah, your soul is immortal. It doesn't die. You don't die. Yeah, but that means that you're an angel. Yeah, it's not something that we could talk about. Oh, this dog has that experience, or this plant has that experience. No, it's the sentient being who has that experience to be sentient and have the angelic reality of the fact that they are physically manifested as an angel. Yeah. And then everything else is emanations of the angels. That's how we become caretakers. Every plant, every animal, everything is an emanation of ourselves. Every single thing. Yeah. So we can see animal spirit. We can feel the animal spirit. We can feel the plant spirit. Yeah. We can feel the energy of a rock. Yeah. We can feel life in a tree. Yeah. We can feel its presence. Yeah. If we tune into it. Yeah. We can love another animal. And it has its own individual imprint. Yeah. And we can share that energy back and forth simply because we have a soul. Yeah. But we're the caretakers of that energy. We're the caretakers of it. And if we behave, the animals start behaving like that. They start becoming friends to each other. And that's difficult right now, yeah, because of the way we are. But it's found in animals that this does happen. So this is going to be a long night of teaching, but I'm going to finish one more thing. The other thing that I needed to explain was this animal's reality and soul, and that we as human beings, we are the caretakers of animals. That's how we're going to walk out of this thing. You know, that's how we're going to get better. We're going to become minimalist, and we're going to eat better, and we're going to do better, and we're going to live lighter, and all this kind of stuff. And that's going to happen, yeah? But there are saints amongst us who, before we all pull through this, they have their own existence, and it's very rare, and it's very unique. And one of them is a guy named Bill, who is known as Father Goose. Yeah, and he was a great artist, yeah, and really great guy, and a great architect and designer. And he built a place like this, yeah, where he built domes, and he put them underground, and he built tunnels between each dome, and that was his house. You know, where 5 domes were put together, and they put dirt over them, so they were underground domes. Yeah, so he lived like that, and that was very rare. Not a lot of people, actually hardly anybody, lived like that, except for him. And it was his way, you know. But he went on and did more things. And one day, he always wanted to fly, and as a child, he always wanted to fly with birds. He wanted to fly with birds, yeah. And, you know, like, why? Well, you know, who thinks like that, you know? And so as time went on, he found out that geese had lost their ability to know where they're to go when the seasons change, and they couldn't stay alive. Yeah, and the geese were hunted or had bad weather, and families of geese would die, and the elder geese didn't live long enough in order to train the other geese as to where to go. So they were lost. They were stuck where they were born. And many of them, in his case, were born where he was at. You know, so this 18 groups of geese were born there, and he's wondering what the heck to do with them. So he thought he would fulfill his lifelong dream of flying with birds. So he started learning that if they see his face, the moment that they're born, they'll think that he's their parent. Yeah, and that would be trust. And then he would use that to begin a process of them following him and, you know, running with him, and then acting like he's going to fly in a plane, you know, and then they're going to fly along with it when they finally get wings and everything. So all this time goes on. And he pulls this off, and this is his story.
In truth, I'm like a lot of kids that, you know, want to fly like a bird. There's a timelessness to it, you know.
Father Goose is a 54-year-old Canadian sculptor named Bill Lishman, a man who believed that using an ultralight aircraft, he could somehow lead in flight an actual migration of geese south out of Canada. There is a point to his flight of fancy, because the techniques he dreamed up could be used to help restore some endangered birds to migration patterns they have long since forgotten. Many birds simply don't fly their traditional migratory routes because at some point a generation or more ago, the adult population was injured or exterminated, and that long chain of knowledge was broken. But if birds can learn to fly behind a human leader who will show them a safe migratory route, the hope is they will remember the way on their own, and they in turn will show new generations.
It's amazing. They've got some method of learning the ground as they go over it. I thought, boy, we could carry that into another realm, and that's where we're at now.
He's persistent, and it really is, you know, he can see an end in sight. I mean,
Lishman's wife, Paula, knew that once he was hooked on the romance of the idea, he wouldn't give it up.
It's going back to the real primal drive of looking at a bird in flight and, you know, being able to experience that firsthand.
You're high, go around.
But what audacity to think you could join a masterpiece of nature and share even a wing stroke of its world.
They always go long.
Who is this man? Well, he lives on Purple Hill in the Canadian countryside north of Lake Ontario. His house, which he designed himself, is built into the hillside and filled with his ideas and inventions, including this pop-up refrigerator. Around the outskirts of his property, you find evidence of how Bill Lishman earns his living as a sculptor of metals in particular, whose work has been displayed and sold worldwide.
You go through the whole list of his accomplishments, things he's done, the underground house, the sculpture. You go through the whole list and people start to go, well, this is an unusual guy, you know.
Joe Duff is a photographer and ultralight pilot who joined up with Lishman's migration project to fly the second aircraft that's necessary to keep the geese herded together.
He needed the help, and I wanted to help, so I put everything on the back burner and do this full time.
Recruiting a free spirit like Joe Duff is one thing, but what made his geese so attached to Bill Lishman? It began the moment these young goslings hatched from eggs collected under Canadian wildlife permits and placed in an incubator. Because of a natural phenomenon called imprinting, birds believe the first moving object they see is their parent. So as they peck their way out of the egg and open their eyes in the nursery, there's Bill Lishman. To them, he's Father Goose. Like any proud parent, he's taken hours of home video.
What's amazing to me is how much they are born with. You know, they have the instinct to fly. They know how to fly. So it's obviously, you know, millions and millions of years of evolution in there that comes through in the egg.
From his first group of goslings in 1986, Lishman, often with his daughter Carmen by his side, has raised 3 generations like a father, running down Purple Hill, carrying a tape recorder that accustoms the geese very early in life to the sound of an ultralight engine.
A lot of the family got involved. Carmen had 5 geese that she'd run around with these little goslings following after her. And the amount of dedication is quite amazing. Just the hours and hours that are spent every day.
No one had ever prepared geese to migrate behind a man-made flying machine before, and so Lishman was on his own as an experiment. But that was nothing new. Lishman didn't know how to fly when he started out either, not even a hang glider, much less something with an engine. Bill Lishman is not a conventional man, but he is a stubborn one. As he continued to instruct his geese, Lishman put his skill as a metal sculptor to work in building frames behind which the young birds could scamper on the ground, now learning to regard something like an ultralight as their group leader. And finally, everything falls into place. At around 10 weeks of age, the geese are ready to use their wings. They pursue the ultralight as it takes to the air, and in a matter of seconds, they have soared into formation behind it. It is a heart-stopping sight. Lishman flying steadily in the lead, Joe Duff in a chase aircraft fast enough to bring the birds back into formation if they put on a burst of speed. But even as these unlikely companions became accustomed to each other, their flights always started and ended here at Lishman's Purple Hill Aerodrome. And when the first 2 generations of geese that Lishman had raised reached adulthood, they left Purple Hill for good.
You know, at that point they're equivalent to teenagers, and they say, "Dad, we're leaving home." You know, and they, you know, they've got the mating instinct at that point, and they're more interested in other geese, and you've played your role.
So it was this generation of geese, his third, that Bill Lishman hoped to lead on a migration. His dream had been deferred until this year because it had required such complex permissions from both the Canadian and U.S. governments, as well as a place to go. The most important solution was here, 400 miles to the south at Airlie Center, Virginia. Here, a scientist named William Sladen, who keeps a sanctuary for trumpeter swans, issued an invitation to Lishman and his geese. There's plenty of room and good care if you can really make it.
If this works, then we can use it on rare birds like the trumpeter swan, and particularly the whooping crane, which is very endangered, and show them a safe migration route that they don't have to do by chance.
Are you worried about hunters on this trip? The only thing I worry about is it's goose hunting season right now. There's a little worry that way. But we're leaving home.
A month into autumn, on a 39-degree morning at 6 a.m. It is Wednesday, October 19th, 1993. with a light wind stirring from the north-northeast and the sound of the ultralights drifting across the fields. The weather was right, and the young Canada geese were ready. And finally, this strange collaboration of instinct and engine answered the ancient call to go south. The first day was the one that Lishman worried about most, the day they would encounter 36 miles of open water over Lake Ontario.
The most difficult part in my head right now is getting across Lake Ontario, because we have to fly about 3 hours, and we were concerned that the geese wouldn't last that long to start with, and there's always that nagging doubt that the engine might quit on you.
From above, they could see the chase boat for which Lishman had arranged if that worst-case scenario came true. On the other side of the lake, in a field near Gaines, New York, was a gathering of local spectators, some of whom weren't sure exactly what was going to happen. There's a man in the air leading some birds across the lake.
Downey, this is Papa Zulu November. We're 2 minutes out, and the geese are approximately 10 minutes behind us.
By 10 a.m., advance spotters reported they had seen the geese near American shores. And shortly afterward, they appeared in the sky, having crossed the Great Lake. It seemed almost too good to be true. Down came Bill Lishman, who always lands first, so the geese will come in after him. But geese are wary of new locations and didn't feel like kissing American soil just yet.
Keep everybody back, eh? They're headed north again. Maybe you better go around them up.
Joe Duff went back up to lead them around again, and it was starting to look very dicey. Listen to what was happening within shouting distance of the field, the gunshots of hunters.
No, I'm starting to worry.
The hunters were shooting at other game, but geese aren't deaf, and they were being very conservative. Finally, they heeded the calls of Father Goose from the clearing below and descended. Each goose, around a dozen pounds beneath 5 feet of wing spread, dropping into a trademark touchdown. Leg one was done, but there was one other detail that migrating geese have never had to face before.
Okay, that's an entry document. It shows that you're admitted to the United States as a B1 visitor for business purposes.
Meet Carla Hengerer, senior examiner for the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service in Buffalo, New York.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the United States.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Into the pens that had been trucked across the border for them went the geese. Weather would keep them grounded for another 3 days. And then they began a series of hops that took them through New York to near Williamsport and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where they rested on Monday, October 25th. By that day, at the bird sanctuary where Dr. Sladen waited at Airlie Center, Virginia, there was clearly the probability that the crazy scheme of Father Goose was going to work.
He's up in the air. It's just a perfect day for migration. He was flying right over Pennsylvania this morning. It's wonderful.
Is it interfering with a natural process to lead this migration?
No, I don't think so. These birds not only imprinted on Bill Lishman, but they're imprinted on each other. They're all pals. It's a little family group.
You're flying over the planet with these creatures, and it sort of paints the Earth over, cruising along with these beings that have been flying across this planet for millions of years. It's just an absolute phenomenal feeling.
More than 400 miles they had flown at average speeds of 30 to 32 miles an hour and altitudes as high as 3,700 feet above sea level. 18 geese, magnificent to watch. As Lishman flew beside them, wingtip to fingertip, he could even watch them breathe. But the great secret that Bill Lishman could not share, the secret that they and all birds keep, is how they remember the way.
When you land in Virginia, is it going to be like Lindbergh making it to
To me it will be. To me it will be. I don't think we'll have the crowds and everything else, but it'll be my personal Lindbergh flight for sure.
At sunset on October 25th, 1993, that long journey ended. From the ground, we could count as they approached and circled, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 18. They were all coming in. As soon as they landed, tired from the day's flight, they were taken to the pen that had been prepared for them. Everyone there that evening followed Bill Lishman. The geese will winter here, and then the test will come. Will they return to Purple Hill without Father Goose? Will they remember this flight? As for Bill Lishman and Joe Duff, when it was all done and everyone was gone, we saw them flying alone in the darkening sky, climbing and circling and climbing again as if they couldn't quite let it all go. They will remember.
So, caretakers, that's what I do. Yeah, I take care of all of you. Yeah, and I take care of all the plants and the animals and everything. I'm a homeopath. I'm everything. I'm every science you could ever imagine. I put all my time into it so I could be a better caretaker. Yeah, just to take care of people, and then I radiate that out, and that becomes dreams. You know, my actions, my memories, the things that I do go out into embodying into other people, into their dreams. And they are called into action to do the things that they need to do. That's literally a dream that would fulfill their life's purpose. Yeah? And yeah, you could see this guy was led by a dream. And he was led by a dream that started when he was just a kid. You know, so it brought him to caretakership. But he's the reason why he did this is because, you know, it's the job of a saint. It's not what you think. It's not about religion. Yeah, it's about saintliness. Yeah, and taking care of everything. You know, which means you would be the best architect, the best doctor, the best philosopher. You have to be all those things. Yeah, to be a caretaker. You got to care, and you develop this care so much that you become an engineer, and you make things that are very close to nature, and you complement nature, and you're awakened by nature, and you facilitate nature. It's just so enlightening, you know, the process of building a house that's structured along with nature, so it's passive solar and all the things, just so enlightening, yeah, and it's minimalism. And it's caretaking, you know. So as a saint, this is what he was drawn to do. And this is what everybody is going to be drawn to do. Yeah. And you just got to know that that's not going to include Mr. Trump. It's not going to include Michael Jackson. You know, you may want to think, you know, Michael Jackson, what a sweet little kid, you know, all those things. But he's going to come back with the same antagonizing, horrifying behaviors unless he himself goes through those behaviors again and then chooses not to have those behaviors by realization, yeah, because he cares, yeah. But it's increments. It's not, oh, it comes back a whole person that's whole different and all better, yeah. That's how we go through our process of change. It's not by making a person pay for what they did in the way that we think will justify a balance. That's not how it works. It's done by the act of love. And the act of love is higher mind, yeah, higher understanding, yeah, wisdom, yeah, and then you instill that into what it is you're going to do, yeah. So all of that is included with telepathy and vision and creativity, yeah. And those all come from these chakras. So you see this guy, and every saint, you know, whether it be Pythagoras or any saint, they're all geomancers. They're all sacred architects of geomancy, and they're artists that make sound or music or form, yeah. And they are creating in this way. It's part of their creative adjustment of taking hard things that are stuck in one way and using your life force to move them into another way. Yeah, and they just become unstuck. Yeah, but they're blessed during the process of your unsticking. So you can travel all over America and find this man's statues that are elevating in they're the most elevating, enlightened forms of art that's been put in America. Yeah. So watch this again and check out his name and look up his house. You can find it on YouTube. Look up all of his artwork. Yeah, you can find that on YouTube. Look up his wife. She fostered the process of using fur, where everybody was against fur, especially in the 60s and 70s. She came up with a way, and because she liked to make wool and do all kinds of different making of things, like making wool and then weaving it, and spinning it and dyeing it and making it useful for function, for making really beautiful clothing. Yeah, so she chose to use fur to do that. Yeah, where a lot of people use alpaca, or they might use, wool. Very common. Yeah, but she chose beaver, of all things, and she's from Canada, and beaver is like super abundant. Yeah, because they literally trap beaver there in order to keep the beaver down and keep it safe. Yeah, so it's a natural process of abundant beaver hides and all the things that come. Nobody eats beaver, So she put it into a process to where now she makes beautiful, beaver, woven beaver, into clothing. So she changed the entire process of negativity toward fur and all the negative aspects of wearing fur into wearing something you'd never know you had fur on. Yeah, it's beaver, it's not rabbit, it's not kitty cat, it's not, all these different things, but it's just beaver. Yeah, but it's enlightening, and she was caretaking, an element of human nature, of us, and our relationship to minimalism of not waste, and allowing us to utilize what it is we are using as a byproduct and turn that into a product, and it became a really good thing. Yeah, so look that up. Yeah, look up the name of his wife, look up what she did, and look up her business, and you'll see all those things. All right, so you learned a little bit today. Let's do a prayer and meditate. Okay, we're going to do a prayer to release humanity's curse, and bring about change, by lowering our relationship to Satan and bring about the healing of the curse. And that opens up the door to the beginning of the soul. We can't do anything until we do something about what's causing this. Yeah. So, and my whole life is built on that process. So I recommend you do this prayer and take it in very strongly. That this is an invocation to evoke inside of you, your soul, that's been there from the beginning of time, that you're all children of Adam and Eve. You're all children. Adam and Eve never fell. It's Satan who fell. Yeah, never Adam and Eve. And all humanity is children of Adam and Eve. Yeah, and that process is that there's a war going on, because ever since Adam got here, Satan went down on him and did everything to get everybody not to recognize him or give honor to him or bring about any solution to the furthering of God on earth. Yeah, so nothing is recognized around Adam. Nothing is understood around Adam. Yeah, it's all just hearsay stuff. Yeah. So it's a healing. When we heal this curse, we're healing a process that goes back to your birth, your existence, the purpose behind your existence. And that it's not just about Jesus healing your curse. It's about the fact that you are Jesus's children. Yeah? And Adam is Jesus. Yeah? And that if you see yourself as your mother's children, or you see yourself as just a person who's in this system and it's out of control, you know, it's just Maya. Yeah? And you have no real connection to how to deal with it and how best to concern yourself with anything, because it's so overwhelming. It's way too much. Yeah? But you can. You can deal with it by letting go of Satan and realizing Satan exists and using Jesus in order to confront Satan. Yeah? Satan won't have anything to do with you unless you use Jesus to confront Satan. And then Satan really pays attention. And then you invoke upon Satan. You no longer have my vote. You are not in my life. You cannot affect me. All those things. Yeah? That's what we're going to bring in. Yeah? So your prayer needs to understand these words so you know that this is not about this life. This is about every life since the beginning of time. Because it's all about time. And your soul is the benefit of time. So if we do this and move time in the right order of dharma, out of karma into dharma, yeah, then we will all reap the relationship of no more Satan. And the externalization of Christ will take place. And all of humanity will be able to recognize Christ where they couldn't recognize Satan, but they can recognize Christ by abolishing Satan in them, inside of them. Literally, getting Satan, yes. What? No. Oh, okay, it's working, never mind. So anyway, whatever I was saying. So let's pray. Okay, so repeat after me. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you for bringing me here. Lord Jesus Christ, I open my heart today. I invite you to come inside. Lord Jesus Christ, come and save my life. Receive me today as a child of God. Forgive all my sins and write my name in the book of life. I give myself to you, my spirit, my soul, my body. Receive me, O Jesus Christ. Now, devil, the blood of Jesus is against you. I command you now to leave me. I command you now to leave me. I do not belong to you. I am God's property. Leave my life. I disassociate myself with you. I renounce every evil covenant I have ever entered in with you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I have received salvation. I am a child of God. Amen. Okay. 7 rays to raise the senses of humanity, expressed as the soul. I invoke the sense of hearing in the 7th ray, hearing the word of God, the word of power. I invoke the sense of touch and the 1st ray as the finger of God. I invoke the sense of sight as the 3rd ray, as the eye of God. I invoke the sense of taste as the 6th ray, as the desire of all the nations. I invoke the sense of smell as the 4th ray, the beauty of revelation. I invoke the sense of intellect as the 5th ray, as the knowledge of God. I invoke the sense of intuition as the 2nd ray, the understanding of God. I call upon the synthesis of the 7 rays to be expressed through your personality. As the 1st ray of ideas, the mental body, the purpose, your life. The 2nd ray of ideals, the astral body, and your quality. The 3rd ray of idols, your physical body and your form. The 4th ray of the 4th kingdom of humanity in balance. The 5th ray, the 3rd kingdom, the animals. The 6th ray, the 2nd kingdom, vegetables. The 7th ray, the 1st kingdom, minerals. personality of humanity and express its collective soul. The seventh ray and the fourth ray as the mineral kingdom. The second ray, the fourth ray, and the sixth ray as the vegetable kingdom. The third ray and the sixth ray as the animal kingdom. The fourth ray and the fifth ray as the human kingdom. The fifth ray and the second ray as the egoic soul. The sixth ray and the third ray as planetary lives. The first ray and the seventh ray as solar lives. The planet Earth, to bring forth the geomantic relationships of the soul, to integrate the egoic ray and the personality ray of each nation, and to express its true expression, to make manifest peace on earth as one living body of God. I call upon India to bring forth its fourth ray of personality and to integrate its first ray of soul to manifest the hidden light. I invoke China to bring forth its third ray personality, to integrate its egoic soul into its first ray, to manifest as the indication of the way. I invoke Germany to bring forth its first ray of personality, to integrate its egoic soul of fourth ray, to preserve the truth. I invoke France and its third ray personality to integrate its fifth ray of egoic soul to release the light. I invoke Great Britain and its first ray personality and its second ray egoic soul to bring forth its service. I invoke Italy and its fourth ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to carve the two paths. I invoke the United States and its sixth ray personality to integrate its second ray soul to light the way. I invoke Russia, and its sixth ray personality to integrate its seventh ray soul, to link the two ways. I invoke Australia and its fifth ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul and serve the lighted way. I invoke Spain and its seventh ray personality to integrate its sixth ray soul to disperse the clouds. I invoke Brazil and its second ray personality to integrate its fourth ray soul to hide the seed. I invoke the entity of this planet, the planetary logos, to incarnate the life and the beingness of this planet. I invoke the expression of the second ray force into both the personality and the egoic rays of the nation and the personality of the egoic ray of humanity, to fuse itself and its light into its healing process. I invoke the esoteric law of solar energy to make manifest the cosmic force of light, love, and peace. Okay, just relax. So for the last couple thousand years, I've been extremely busy and helping Tibet and India and Asia and building America. I established America. I helped people locate America. I helped them establish the Constitution. I helped in all the industries and relationships to technologies and helped them communicate and relate to other people by writing books and establishing communication skills, television, TV, and telephones. I did all that. It took me 2,000 years, which meant I had to work with Socrates during the time of Buddha's time. He was born during the time of Buddha, and I had to teach him. I had to teach Pythagoras. I had to teach all these different relationships during my lives. And those built certain levels of consciousness that allowed us to then move into sciences. Which allowed us to develop sacred architecture and understanding of architecture, understanding of the sound and geometry and words behind the monad or the soul. All those people were developed during the life of Buddha. You look at it, check it out. The time that Buddha was born, the cycle of Buddha's life, is the time when philosophy, architecture, sciences were all developed from Buddha. He was the teacher. And then after that, I was continued that process, educating and creating languages, which established writing. So I did that. And I helped people bridge over into India so that they can create the numerical system that we now use as data processing, working with computers, the 0 and the 1. Yeah, and how that works in relationship to mathematics on different levels and in ways that you normally would never think of mathematics, but it works in relationship to a computer, to electricity, to the formula of Ohm, the formula of volts and watts and things like that. It all fits inside of that realm. And slowly but surely that will give us many different realities behind our ability to heal and our ability to bring balance and our ability to develop sciences that are given to us by God under the arrangement of God, and God's the teacher. Yeah, and we are slowly but surely evolving into the dream state, to where, just like Einstein, all of his theories came from dreams. Yeah, just like Pythagoras and every other person, every single person, when they get a really good idea, it comes through the subconscious mind. It's brought to them by Jesus the Christ, not by any saint, by Mother Mary, or by Harry Fairy. Yeah, just by one person. Yeah, and people know me as Jesus the Christ because of what happened 2,000 years ago. But I also was Buddha. I've also been Krishna. I've also been many different names and incarnations. And each time I change things. Yeah. So in this life, for the last 2,000 years, I've worked as a senior teacher, on all levels, as Tsongkhapa, Padmasambhava. Every single life I lived, I created a throne. I was born on a throne. I was born on a throne as Padmasambhava. I was born on a lily. I was born in front of dakinis, not human beings. I was born as 9 years old, not coming out of the woman of a mother. I was self-created. And I manifested that way. And I taught from the level of consciousness I was at 9 years old. I taught all the way to the last day that I breathed. And so I was the authority, Maha Yogi. I was the authority on planet Earth, and I started at 9 years old. But I had been the authority for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's just that at that time, there were more students available to me than any other time in history. And that's why Padmasambhava was able to develop Lamaism by establishing teachers from India into Tibet, reincarnating in Tibet, and taking relationship to Buddha and Shiva. How all those lineages, my lineage is Krishna, my lineage is Shiva, my lineage. So these students are from those lineages, but they were in separate states of consciousness. The Shivas were against this, and these were against that. There was no real true students, so it needed a teacher to reform the students to not be separative. So my last 500 years, I focused upon virtues as Tsongkhapa. And that established the Patala. It established everything that's known historically about Tibetan Buddhism. But it established about 7 or 8, Sera Monastery, Ganden Monastery, Drepung Monastery. All of these monasteries was established by me. I personally named them. I personally blessed them. I personally laid my body down in many of those. My body's in those monasteries in a stupa, So I radiate out as the holder of the lineage. So when I reincarnated in this life, that is recapitulated for me. Here I have now the clothing of my last life. I have the hat of my previous life as Tsongkhapa. This is Tsongkhapa's hat. That's 500 years now. I've been the authority of Tibetan Buddhism. The authority. Padmasambhava was the authority before that. I reincarnated as Karmapa. I reincarnated as Padmasambhava. I reincarnated as Milarepa. I reincarnated as all these different incarnations that furthered the process of the lineage. So in that is my throne, my crown, my throne, my position. This overthrows Satan. It's a very slow, gradual process, and I do this by awakening masters of wisdom. I sit amongst them. I hang out amongst them. But here I'm in America, and I'm in Kelseyville, and I'm sitting in a pyramid, and I'm hanging out with people that might be first or second degree initiates, but they have to recapitulate, which is really difficult for them, yeah? And there are tens of thousands and thousands of my students who are recapitulating on another level who can't put themselves in the position of being in America or under a king or a queen or under certain circumstance. They can't do it. They have to stay as clean, stay in Nepal or stay in India or stay in Tibet, some way to stay within their monastic lifestyle, yeah? And they can't leave that, and they're having a hard time maintaining it, yeah, because it's being destroyed by the Dalai Lama, being destroyed by England, destroyed by China, being destroyed by Nepal, being destroyed by India. All these places really do not further this process until I came in 1990. And then all of a sudden things changed, and Tibet is into Tibetan Buddhism, and they're willing to build more monasteries. And Tibet is, well, they're kind of okay, but they're okay with me. They allow me to build monasteries, come back in, because I'm literally the head of this thing, yeah? I'm not just a person, coming into this. I'm the head of this. So that doesn't give me automatic authority, yeah? But I have the authority. So I continue presenting myself in order to go back to my seat and take the responsibility of the authority as the caretaker to planet Earth. Yeah? And that means that I could raise everybody else up in all nations if this authority is increased. Yeah? So I brought all my, let me show you. Look at all these. I mean, really, come on. I got that crown. That's an old one. I got this one from Naropa, yeah, as being the senior teacher of Drepung. Graduate senior teacher of Drepung. That's me. Yeah. This is Sakya. Senior teacher of the Sakya lineage. That's me. That's another one with the gold line. Nice. Another one is Tsongkhapa. Karmapa. Yeah, really nice. All the Karmapas wear that. This is a little Karmapa. He wears that. But I'm the guy who wears the hat. And all my students who are under my lineage wear the same hat. Yeah. The highest one of the lineage wears the hat that looks similar to me. Similar. Yeah. And that can go all the way down to little tukus. They all get to wear that hat. But it's an authority, actual authority from previous incarnations. Not something you pay for, you graduate from, and now you can wear that hat. You can't be a lama and be in position. You got to have many incarnations of a lama under that lineage and reincarnate and show the auspiciousness of being recognized at birth, that you're so powerful that you get that recognition. And then now you're the first reincarnation of the tuku, and you give the name the tuku. And then you get the hat as the tuku, lineage head of your lineage. And you do that by mastering reincarnation. Yeah? And by living a life in a monastery and never anything else. That's it. Yeah? So this is the hat of Padmasambhava. This is quite a big hat. Nice hat, powerful hat. And then some more of these, and some more of these, some more of these. Yeah, a lot of hats. And in order to change the situation in America, it requires me. You know, I hold the throne of Mahadeva. Yeah, and it's the Deva that is the master. Yeah, the highest elemental understanding, the Buddha, Christ, you know, an enlightened being. Yeah, so enlightenment is what gives these crowns, these enthronements, because the people like myself are enlightened at the crown center. Yeah, we're enlightened at the crown center. That means we give the will of love to the earth. Yeah, so we raise the earth up just by being, just by taking reincarnation and not fighting reincarnation, but actually really wanting to reincarnate. So we pray and we pray and we pray and we pray to be reincarnated. And we pray and we pray and we pray and we pray to be evolved, so that when we reincarnate every other sentient being with us that comes to the same level that I go to. Yeah? And that's a very different science than Christianity or any other thing. Yeah? This is soulful invocation, evocation by masters who know that we are all one soul. Yeah? Where in the Christianity, no such thing. You're all just a fallen bunch of people, just fallen out of grace, and you need the Catholic Church to save your ass. Where in my case, it's not the Catholic Church or even me that's going to save you. You're going to save you. Yeah? And the way you get saved is that you have to have a realization from the masters of what it's like to be saved. Yeah? And then that becomes a symptom. And you work toward those symptoms. And they radiate onto you the working out of those symptoms, because they've already been there a million times over. Through all their lives and all their hardships and all the times of history. They've lived life through history. Yeah? So they were there with you all the time. You just didn't know it. Yeah? So the more and more I share this, the more and more you become connected. You're in America. You know, you're not in Tibet. Yeah? And if I come into a monastery in Tibet, there's millions of people that would receive enormous blessings and start taking refuge. You know, millions. I can show you video of millions of people who have come to me to take refuge in Tibet. You know, I run the Patala. I run most of all the monasteries of Tibet, from Ganden to Drepung to Sera, all of them. Yeah? You know, so all of them, if I'm there, it brings that out in people. Yeah? But if I'm not there, then it's an empty state of inertia. And it doesn't really flow. It's just a building. It needs the entity, the masters, to actually externalize and make manifest these things. So slowly but surely, I'll be able to bring, you know, many of the masters of Tibet, from Naropa, you know, which you understand is real, and he's one of the highest living masters in Tibetan history, hundreds, even thousands of years before. Yeah, but he keeps reincarnation. He's got 27 reincarnations that he's known for. Yeah, and his whole plan is to come here. Yeah, and the guy who's one of the original Karmampas, his whole plan is to come here. Yeah. And all the major students, from the last teacher to the Dalai Lama, the 99th throne holder, his process is to come here and give empowerments, yeah, out of Shambhala, out of this location, out of this house, yeah. And it would just radiate out into all the domes, and that's what the domes are built for, is to radiate into hundreds and hundreds of people simultaneously, while the masters are in the pyramid with me. And they're receiving this transmission, and it goes out and it hits people. That's a powerful science, yeah? But we're in a world where everybody kind of like is drawn toward other things, and they don't really know about these things, because there's lower psychicism in the world. We have witches and warlocks in Glastonbury that covered the grounds of Glastonbury, and every store in Glastonbury was satanic, with satanic Bibles, witches, green men, all about, you know, King Arthur, and, you know, all of the fairy tales, you know, walking fairies, you know, gnomes walking around, people wearing hoofs and horns and antlers, and that was Glastonbury. On a normal day. On a really normal day. Yeah? Witches going up to the Tor killing cats. On a normal day. Yeah? Having covens of houses all over the streets. Covens of witches. And they'd invite people into their houses, bed and breakfast. Yeah? And the people would come out of those houses going, I don't know what's going on, but I'm different. I really wish I hadn't booked that reservation in that only bed and breakfast in Glastonbury, because these witches took advantage of people. Yeah? And brought people into their homes. And they had ornaments of witchcraft. Their bedrooms was all red. They had all kinds of stuff. No telling what kind of sex magic went on in there when they weren't there. Yeah. And that was Glastonbury on a day-to-day basis, and it was building up. When I got there, people would not even allow me into town. They wouldn't allow me to wear my solar form. They wouldn't allow me to walk around with a Vajra. None of us could walk around with a Vajra. No store would let us walk in to a store wearing a solar form or a Vajra. And we couldn't say Jesus Christ. Nobody can say Jesus Christ in that town. And yet, it is the first church of Jesus Christ. I actually own the place. I paid for it. Yeah? I paid for it. 220-mile circle. I paid for that. Measure it. How big is 220 miles in the country of England? It's about the country of England. Yeah. You know, so that place was cheap at that time. The whole island was nothing. It was just an island. Nobody really wanted it. Yeah? So I saw it to be a very sacred place. That was going to make a world of difference in the world. That we needed to do this. Because by the time I come back, this place is going to be flourishing. Heyday in the havoc of hell. You know? All the energies of hell and all the energies of manipulating the world and destroying the world and greed and everything is going to come out of this country. And I have to do this. So actually, they had to steal my country to create England. And then they had to come to my church and take all the blocks from my church and create the city of Glastonbury and Street. So you can't find my church anymore. Yeah? And it was big. It was really big. There were 3 churches there. Yeah? You can't find any of them. And the purpose of that church was that I had all my monks. I had these really beautiful monks who lived there. And they were there for the saints. When they would begin to die, they would all be go on a pilgrimage to come to Glastonbury and come to the first church. And they would wait to die. And they would try and die there. Yeah. And then they'd leave all their clothes and possessions to the hands of the priest. And that would go into a small vault and wait for that person to reincarnate. And when they reincarnated, they went back to the church. Yeah. And they would recapitulate in front of the saint that they believed that they were associated with, who was their previous incarnation. Because all these people with their clothing in there are known as saints. Yeah. So it was a way, in the original church, it was a way of Tibetan Buddhism for the recapitulation of saints. And that's what I did when I went there. I took the 12 disciples that I had. I took all of their things. I took it to Glastonbury. I asked Joseph to make 12 huts. And in each hut, I needed something of each of the disciples placed in a hut so that they would be safe and they could reincarnate into this world and not be of the same torturous life that they lived in this life. Yeah. And I did that all the way through Tibetan Buddhism, from Karmapa, through Milarepa, through all my lives. I did that for all my disciples. I made sure that my disciples were safe, and I would send someone or myself to find them when they were born, or find them sometime during their life while they were alive, and then bring them back up and wake them up. Yeah, that's Tibetan. That's my lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.